Hi everybody, welcome back to Dave's Garage 249. This is Dave, and I can be seen on YouTube at David Neidlinger, Neidlinger. Just type in that name on YouTube and you'll see plenty of videos. Anything from model cars to drag racing Volkswagens. So today's subject is update on what we're doing with the 68 Chevelle Pro Street. So the fun part about this car now is that I've kind of generally restored this car, done some mechanical, we rebuilt the engine, rear axle, rear end, brakes, shocks, suspension, all kinds of stuff on this car. So now we're down to kind of the fun part. I'm kind of wanting to change the look from the braided steel lines and the blue and red fittings and all that stuff, the AN stuff, to all black, and kind of like make a theme out for this car of things being black, silver, chrome, or metal finished, and do away with all the busy colors and things. We've rerouted hoses and things to kind of clean up the engine compartment. So next is a few things. I'm going to replace this front carburetor. This is a Holley 700, and so it's jetted a little bit different than the rear carb, which is a 750. So I've got another 750, same list number, and I'm rebuilding that one, and I will be putting that on. So in the meantime, I wanted to polish up the supercharger because after a while they start looking kind of grayish and dullish and not bright and shiny because they start kind of self-anodizing, which is corrosion, or it's starting to oxidize. And so now is a good time to get that polished up. And it's a little bit difficult to do while it's on the car, but it can be done, and I'll show you how. I took the fuel lines off and got things out of the way so I could get up underneath and even do the base plates for the carb. And while I was at it, I polished up those lines, and now I'm waiting for fittings to come, which they might. I just heard the mailman out there, so maybe they're here now. And I polished up these hard lines, which are stainless steel, I'm assuming, because I didn't check it with a magnet, but there's no signs of rust or anything, so I'm guessing that they're stainless. A couple other things too is that like these, you see the blue fittings. I'm not going to replace. I don't know. I think it's ridiculously expensive to buy different lines, so I'm just going to paint those blue ones black when I get done, final assembly, and then just go ahead. Last thing I do is paint them so I don't get wrench marks all over them. I've already done the pressure regulator and the inbound. You can see I'm using race flux fittings, so I think it looks pretty nice. And then I've got to paint this fitting here. And incidentally, just something to note, when I took this fitting off, I was not surprised, but there it was. Somebody had put Teflon tape on that fitting, which is, to say the very least, Teflon tape on fuel fittings is a no-no or frowned upon. Can be done, but it's got to be done carefully. But it's still, this is a good reason why you don't. But the bottom line is, though, is that a flare fitting, you don't Teflon tape the threads. They're just there to pull the mating surface of this nose together. So if you got a leak, chances are check the nose of this, because if it's got a big scratch in it or something, yeah, it's going to leak no matter how tight you get it. So bear that in mind, and I've still got to clean the rest of the tape off, but and I'm going to brush paint that fitting black to match the other ones. So you say, well, Dave, how did you polish that supercharger? Well, here's the answer. Northern Tool and Supply. I ordered this clutch 14-piece aluminum polishing kit. Comes with 3 compound sticks, just like the big boys, and various wheels to use. Some are hard, and these are for, like, if you've got deeper scratches and things that you want to kind of grind out of there. You use these wheels, and you would use the black compound. And then we have these softer cotton wheels that they're for the buffing part. One of them you use for putting your compound on, and the other one you just keep clean. Don't put any buffing compound on it and use it for polishing. That's what I'm doing anyways. So I got this because I also want to redo my ProStar wheels. Actually, they're not. They're the Krager wheels. And I'm just using My DeWalt 18 volt works fine. They give you the rouge, and then this is the final. This is like a final buff, kind of a wax. So that's kind of the process there. Well worth the 27 bucks. So moving on, here's my Hilborn style scoop that was on those carburetors, and I actually did a video earlier, and it turned out that it got disrupted by some form of advertising that killed my whole video. But this thing was pretty beat up when I first got it, and I've had to do some filing and sanding and removing of dents and scrapes and marks that from people. Somebody was careless and slammed the hood down on it when it had the steel hood and scratched the back side of it all up. So I've been able to make a big comeback, and then using that polishing kit I just showed you, I've been able to get it back to pretty much a mirror finish, which is, like I was saying, this is the kind of the fun part now when you start getting the car straightened out the way you want it, and you can start doing these really cool details, which when I see it done on cars, I appreciate it because I know how much work it is. And it's kind of like, you know, you're showing off a little bit about how you like to detail things. And I think on these cars that this is more show car than, I mean, it's perfectly capable of performing. And if somebody, you know, wants to loudmouth, we can put some slicks on, show up at the track, and it's going to hook up and it's going to go straight and it's going to run good. So, but in the meantime, mostly what we do is car shows and cruises and stuff. So anyways, I thought a nice detail would be to contrast the cast aluminum surfaces that weren't polished with some black. And, you know, when you look in, I don't run that grate that they give you to put in there. I think it reduces airflow, and I've got a couple really nice size K&N filters which go from top to bottom, and they're twice as big as the ones that they sell you for this Wyant supercharger. So anyways, make sure that you use a paint that's designed to stick to aluminum and has some kind of etching property. This is theoretically what's going to work. I did do some research before I put it on there because typically with aluminum, to get paint to stick to it, you have to etch it. And then we used to do in the aerospace plant iodine, which looks gold, which has cyanide and chromic acid in it, which is probably why you can't buy it anymore. But you used to be able to get it by the gallon jug at Napa, but they don't let the public have that kind of stuff anymore. So that's as we unmask it, you can see I got a good contrast. I was kind of worried about the color of the paint. It looked a little bit lighter. And once again, I said I apologize because I actually made a video painting it and then going over and showing the carbs while things were tacking up and drying, and some advertising or something came in and interrupted the whole thing and killed the video. So, but I can already tell you I'm gonna like this. And the bonus is that this paint should be fairly washable. So if it gets water spots on or anything, I can just clean it right up. Same thing in here. We're leaving the surface as cast. It's like you're constantly going in there and cleaning it with carburetor cleaner or something to get it cleaned up, and that just isn't any fun. So I think that's going to turn out really, really nice. So here's the carb. I was showing the teardown of it. It's all clean, pretty much ready to go back together. Discovered that I had always had an issue with that car accelerator pump shooter size. I couldn't remember. It's been a long time, but it turns out that they're 28s. And so normally under normal conditions, and when the engine's up to temperature, it isn't a real big issue. But since we put the new straight through exhaust on, every now and then she'll sneeze back through the carburetor when she's warm, which she never did that before. But when you first cold start, it could do that because there just wasn't enough accelerator pump shot. So I knew I wanted to add more. So I'm thinking I'm going to go 31s on both sides. So what's kind of holding me up is I'm waiting for parts for this too. I'm gonna go, I don't have enough 31 squirters, and it's 30cc pump, so, but it seems to be fine. I'm gonna just go with the jets, match the jets up to the rear carburetor, and I gotta block off the power valve, because without doing blower referencing, a thing they call blower referencing, where you you have to reroute through the metering blocks, vacuum, and then when you have boost, it doesn't bother you. But you can, it gives you 3 stages, where right now I've got 2 stages on the carburetor. It's but it still drives fine. It's not a huge issue, and but it's a refinement process that can be done. So when we get around to switching everything over, we'll do a video on setting the float levels, idle mixture, and this, it does not pull boost at idle, so it's actually under vacuum. So, but what you do need to do is calibrate the 2 carbs. Anytime you have dual carbs, you have to kind of, especially if they're matching carbs now, it'll be a lot easier. But first thing you do is you make sure that you've got your idle throttle plates both matching, and the way you do that is by putting a vacuum gauge Gizzy Bop that sits on top of the carburetor, and then you disconnect one linkage, and then you get them both to match up, and then you reconnect the linkage, and you'll be surprised that you'll find that you'll change that linkage that you hook back up 2 or 3 thread turns to get it to match up. So that's another thing that we're going to be doing. So that's kind of it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the things that I'm working on. It's going to be kind of long winter, so I got some other things I want to do to this car too. I think I've described. We're going to work on the interior a little bit. I want to change the steering wheel. We're going to go smaller diameter. Change the steering box. Oops, not even facing the right way, but I'll switch you over. We changed the steering box to a tighter ratio. This had the 24:1. Now I think this is a 16:1 ratio, which makes the car a little bit more steerable on the street. And that's about all I got for today. Next video I'll show you a picture. Before I'm gonna hook everything back up, change my fuel lines, do all the things that I want to do, start it, run it, make sure that there's no leaks. Probably gonna, and then disassemble everything back off, and swap those carbs out, and then go through that whole process again. So I know that I want different needle valves for the idle adjustment, because it's almost impossible to reach in between the 2 carbs, especially when it's idling, to do adjustments. So I want to be able to reach in there with my fingers and work those a little bit. So just a few things to make life easier, and it's just now we're on the process of, unless I break something or have something happen that I'm not aware of, it's the fun part about having one of these cars, is just doing all this crazy cool details and making the thing really show worthy. So it's been my life dream. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed seeing this video. Thanks.